Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm wondering, are the creators and writers of the Fox animated show The Simpsons accurately predicting the future time and time again? Or are they time travelers? Howdly doodly, neighborinos! Unless you're from a different planet or time period, you're more than likely familiar with the animated sitcom The Simpsons. For 32 seasons, The Simpsons has been taking a big old mirror and holding it up to the American way of life, often with alarming accuracy. So much accuracy, in fact, that some have developed the idea that the creators and writers of The Simpsons aren't from this time period, but instead from the world of tomorrow. Some have found it eerie that the Simpsons team have been able to predict the future on dozens of occasions, with the smallest on-screen details to major plot lines coming to fruition, sometimes within a year of the episode's premiere, sometimes decades later. As one might expect, the theory is taken most seriously by tried and true conspiracy theorists. However, it has hit the mainstream audiences through outlets like the BBC, The Hollywood Reporter, The New York Times, and The Chicago Tribune, who often like to list some of its most potent and surprising predictions, especially in the wake of another one coming true. For example, this year alone they were said to predict Kamala Harris's White House arrival, or at least President Lisa Simpson wearing an outfit eerily similar to Kamala Harris's inauguration outfit. Last year they were said to have predicted murder hornets and even the pandemic. There doesn't seem to be an exact number of how many accurate depictions they have made, though the most comprehensive list compiled in 2018 lists as many as 30 examples, and since then many more have come true. One of the events that most die-hard Simpsons conspiracy theorists cling to is the idea that the show predicted the September 11th terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers in 2001. In the episode The City of New York vs. Homer Simpson, which premiered in 1997, the family buys a New York City guidebook while they are visiting, and the cover has a price of $9 next to a picture of the Twin Towers. Some say that because this visually looks like 911 or 9/11, it's one of the show's many predictions. But writer Al Jean, who has been with the show since the beginning in 1989, says that this is, quote, totally coincidental. Another popular example is the prediction of Donald Trump as a future US president, made all the way back in the year 2000. A 1997 episode showed Marge offering to read Bart a book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. This would later be seen as a prediction of the 2014 Ebola outbreak in the US. One of its relatively swift predictions related to the show were its depictions of a World Football Federation scandal in 2014. That would be a mirror for the real-life FIFA scandal about a year later, in which several officials were arrested on corruption charges. Even more spookily perhaps, the episode also predicted the outcome of the 2014 World Cup, with Germany's win over Brazil. In a 1998 episode, they showed the Fox studio lot with a sign saying that the company is now a, quote, division of Walt Disney Co. About 20 years later, in December 2017, Disney acquired 21st Century Fox. The Simpsons movie, released in 2007, has also been said to have predicted the NSA spying scandal in 2013. In what might be one of the most wild ones, in the 1998 episode The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer becomes an inventor and is pictured standing in front of a blackboard with an equation. Reportedly, the same equation ended up being used to prove the existence of the God particle, a particle that helps explain how everything in the universe has mass. However, this equation would not be confirmed by physicists until 2012. So with all of these predictions and prophecies that have yet to be fulfilled, what goes on? Obviously, the primary theory here is what we're all here to talk about. Are they time travelers? I mean, how else could they know this stuff? How else could they predict minutiae like Kamala Harris's purple power suit or pearl necklace? Could it really be that the Simpsons writers came here all the way from the future to deliver us sneaky little premonitions only to blow our minds a few years later? Is that even possible, or is there another explanation? While some of these are truly uncanny, even the most surprising kind of deserve a little context. For example, let's take a look at the 2000 episode where they predict the Trump election. Al Jean, a writer for The Simpsons, explained, "We were looking for a funny celebrity who would be president." And while it might have seemed funny at the time, it wasn't completely out of nowhere, as Trump had already said that he would consider running for office in the future. So, not even the greatest stretch of the imagination. And what about 1993 when they not only predicted coronavirus, but murder hornets as well? In the episode Marge in Chains, we see a sick worker in Japan sneezing on a package, the inciting incident in an outbreak of Osaka flu. In a panic, people attack a truck accidentally releasing a crate labeled Killer Bees. Well, the connections are slim, and really only obvious if you think that Japan and China are the same place. The theory was spread when people from the internet made a collage of different stills from two different episodes, in an effort to try and deceive audiences into thinking that The Simpsons had predicted the coronavirus pandemic as a result of Asian actors, including photoshopping text into one image to completely serve their purpose. Also, there's some discrepancy as to what actually counts as a prediction. Does it have to be completely unique and never posed before? Can a brief, relatively general image be enough to say it's a prediction? For example, many like to say that the show predicted smartwatches. However, the fanciful idea of a communication watch far predated The Simpsons, with the concept of it being shown in Dick Tracy comics decades before. On top of that, The Simpsons isn't the only show that made some predictions that turned out to be so. Scrubs predicted that Osama bin Laden would be found in Pakistan rather than Afghanistan. In 2016, a comedy series called Legends of Chamberlain Heights depicted Kobe Bryant dying in a helicopter crash. In 2015, Parks and Recreation predicted that the Cubs would win the World Series and break their curse, which would actually happen in 2016. Science fiction has been at it for decades. Star Trek alone predicted cell phones, Bluetooth earpieces, virtual assistants, VR, and tablet computers. I mean, it's kind of unfair when you remember that Star Trek comprises over 760 episodes of television and 13 feature films. Wait a second, what other television show has over 700 episodes? Wait a second, is it a coincidence that both shows are credited with an absurd amount of accurate predictions, and both shows each have about a bazillion episodes? Well, Matt Zaremski, an assistant math professor at the University of Albany, might not think so. According to Zaremski, in 29 seasons, the show made about 120,000 jokes, with the assumption that the show kept the average pace of about 8.54 jokes per minute. This number was based off of the first 12 seasons. If The Simpsons got about 20 predictions right, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. This only comes out to about a 1.6% success rate. The chalk's too big. He concludes that statistics say that with that many predictions, they essentially just got lucky. Daniel Chun, a former co-executive producer for The Simpsons, echoes a similar sentiment as most of the show's staff has said when they were asked about the prediction phenomenon. Saying, "We've made a zillion episodes of television, and so that's a lot of at-bats, a lot of opportunity to make predictions. I don't think anyone's talking about the predictions that The Simpsons has gotten wrong, but the list is many times longer than the stuff they've gotten right." Chun also believes that many of the writers share a similar worldview, which has greatly influenced the comedic strategy of the show, and it tends to lead heavily towards cynicism. And this is why predictions keep coming, because people and our society are so predictable. But he makes a good point. Essentially, we don't learn, but they do. We keep repeating pattern after pattern, which makes our next choices as people pretty obvious. So maybe the takeaway from this isn't that the Simpsons writers are time travelers, but that they just look around a lot. And if you want to be a big shot Hollywood TV writer, all you have to do is pay attention.